Hi, my name is Patrick. I'm a chemtrail activist here in San Francisco, and you've probably seen some of my time-lapse imagery of the chemtrails that we get blasted with here in San Francisco. And a lot of people asked, how do I do my time lapses? It's actually not that difficult. A time lapse is still pictures taken every few seconds, stitched into a movie, and then you can put that up on YouTube. That's the quick and easy thing. What you want though is you need to get as much sky in as possible, and for that you need a wide lens. Wide lenses are spendy. This thing is just crazy. Now that part here is just that's about $2,000, which is crazy. But what I use for my daily stuff is this little guy here. It's little thing. It's called a Canon Vixia Mini. To turn it on, you press this little thing here. Makes a cute noise. And it's, if you look in the screen rotates quite nicely like that, and it is very, very wide. This is actually wider than a GoPro. You can also use a GoPro, but if you already have one, use a GoPro. This is better, and I'll explain why. First of all, it's got a little screen on it, which is handy, and you can control it from here. It's wider than a GoPro and has this little kickstand here, so you don't even have to get a tripod. You can just pop this on your window ledge and just let it go, which is awesome, and they're cheaper. So it's the this is the Canon Vixia Mini. There's a newer version called the Canon Vixia X, which costs more and has no real advantage for what we're going to do here. So anyway, that's one method. Going back to this super expensive one here, you'll find a lot of cameras, if you go into menu and you dig around, you might find something that just says time-lapse, and like this one in particular makes an actual time-lapse movie. You don't have to assemble it yourself, which is great. I do use this one for my nighttime chemtrail shots because it's got a very good low light sensor, and you can take pictures by moonlight or even without moonlight. It's quite incredible, but very expensive. If you already have a camera, have a look in the menu, see if you can find time-lapse or interval shooting or something. It'll maybe be in there, but again, wide can be expensive. This costs, you can get them for about $220. You have to pay an extra $20 for the power adapter. You do need a power adapter because you want to have this run for hours on end. One limitation of this is you can only do 3 hours of time lapse at a time. So what I do, I set this off in the morning, and I set using my phone. I set an alarm to go off at 2 hours and 50 minutes, so that gives me time to like hit stop and start again, so we'll do another 3-hour thing, and then I just piece them all together on the computer later on, which I'll explain, and so that's that. So third way is iPhones. iPhones do time lapses. Actually quite simple. I'll show you how you do it, and it's not super wide. It's wide enough, but if you have an iPhone, you don't want to spend any money on this stuff. This will make turn this thing off, it's annoying me. You can make something straight out of the phone here, so, or an iPad. I'm not sure, I don't have an Android machine or phone or whatever, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some time-lapse thing you can use on that as well. So next we shall go into detail how I actually set this thing up, and this and this. So enjoy. Okay, so this is the interface of the Canon Vixia Mini when you turn it on. And this is like if you want to record a movie, you just press that and it records it, blah blah blah, done, whatever, finished there. But for time lapse, what you want, first of all you hit the home button over here, and you
you want to change the size of the image it takes to a medium, and that's over in the other settings. Press that. Go down to photo size. Hit that. And it's on medium, which is fine. You don't need large. You can do it if you want, but medium is plenty for all I need. And it'll save you time processing thousands of images into a QuickTime movie. So close that. All right, so you go back to change, to make it go to time lapse. You hit the home button again, and you press the little camera icon and hit it again. And you scroll up to, where is it? Up. Slow motion. Oh yeah, interval shooting, okay? I've set it at 5 seconds, but with this little spanner thing up here, if you hit there, you can change what the recording interval is. 5 seconds is plenty. I record mine at 5 second intervals and then make my QuickTime movie at 60 frames per second, or you can hit 10 seconds and have it do a 30 frames per second output. But when you have it at 5 seconds, it gives you more chance to slow down stuff. But yeah, gives you more information. More information is good. So back to 5 here. Return, and you're done. So click OK. Right, boom. So now I'll show you how you actually get it to do its thing. There's a button up here, right there, that little silver button there. And what you do, when you want it to start going, you just press that button until it goes click, and off it goes. And it's taking a picture every 5 seconds. When you want it to stop recording, as you do when it's getting up to your time limit or whatever, there's a button over here, little play button there. You press that button once, and it says the camcorder is set to interval recording mode. Yes, and it's done. So when you're doing many like multiple 3-hour intervals together, like you can stop it and then start it again by just pressing this top button here, and off it goes again, etc. Going, press that, done. Now how to do a time lapse with an iPhone. So this is the camera app on the iPhone. Right now it's set to photo, and you scroll up to there's slow-mo, and that final one there is time lapse right there. You just point it out the window and hit the red button, and that's it. So if you do a short time lapse, it'll have more frames per second. The longer you run it, the fewer frames per second / minute. So if you have this plugged in and you point that out the window all day, it'll work pretty nicely. So unfortunately, a lot of people need to use their phone, but it's anyway, it's quite handy. So that's the iPhone / iPad. Works that way. And to stop it, you press the red button again. Done. So it goes from time lapse, slow-mo, video, photo, square, pano. But anyway, it's the one on the far left, time lapse. Okay, so we have imported all the images from the Vixia Mini into my hard drive here. And the first thing I'm going to do is rename these folders to make it a little easier. You'll understand later. So I'm going to call this one, press enter, make that 01, next one 02, and so on. 03, 04, 05. Okay. Right, each of these represents about 3 hours of images. You know, there's 2,000 in this one. This one's got 1,000. But anyway, we want to put them all into one new folder. But since they have the same file names, we want to rename them so they're going to be sequential from beginning to end. So I'm going to rename these 01- sequentially all the way through, and so on for the other ones. I'll show you how I do this. Free program here called Rename, which I shall put a link in the description below. And what you do, move this over here a little bit. This is where you put the files. So I'm going to click in here, select all, and drag them over here. And now I'm going to rename them. So I'm going to call them, this one will be 01-, and you can see this. And now we're in the rename preferences here. You click on options, and you want to have the serialized format. You can have 4 zeros or 5 zeros. Let's have 5. Okay. All right. So we're going to serialize. Click that. And you see, this is it. We want to put this as after. So it goes 01-001 all the way through. So that's, and then you click rename. And this renames the files. This will take a little while, so I'll just pause this now. Okay, this is just finishing up here. It's down to the last. Okay, now this is all been renamed here. So now we do the same for the next folder in 02. Select all. Move them over here. Rename them as 02. Rename, and then just go through the rest of them. Rename. Off it goes. Okay, now I've renamed all the files. So in 1, 01, ... 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we're going to create a new folder and call it all photos. And we're going to copy or move all the files into that one. So I'm going to click here, select all, and drag them into all photos, and so on. You need to see all this. You get the general idea. Okay, so these folders here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all empty. And the all photos has all 8,000 pictures in here. When I scroll through, you can see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And so that's done. So we don't need these folders. So we can just move to trash. Oof. So we have that. Right, now we have this folder. We're going to make a time lapse from this folder. So Timelapse Assembler is this program, which is free. Here's the website it's available at. It's dayoftheNewDan.com, and it's free. And you can donate. Also, this is the rename. Where you can get that free. That's at pathossoftware.com. So that's where you can get those. Anyway, all that whole like file renaming and moving and stuff only applies when you have multiple folders. If it's just one folder, you can go straight to this step, which is making the time lapse. So in Timelapse Assembler, the codec I choose H.264. Frame rate, I choose 60 frames per second. That's because I'm taking my pictures every 5 seconds. If you were taking your pictures every 10 seconds, you can make the frame rate 30. But this is just the way I do it. You can play with it yourself. Anyway, source directory here. So I want to put that in here. So I click choose, imported from Vixia Mini, all photos, open. That shows all the files in there. So I'm going to open that. Dimensions here. So I don't resize because the file size on this is actually these are 1920 by 1440, which is an okay size for YouTube. If you were taking in bigger images, yes, you'd resize it. And here's like if you click that, you can change all these numbers. But for the Canon Vixia Mini, when you're shooting on medium, you don't need to resize it. Quality I have as high, and then all you hit encode, and then it'll ask you where you're gonna put the final image. So I'm gonna put it in the same folder here and call it it was 228.15 time lapse. Sorry. And then hit save. And then it's going to start encoding. This is now making all of these close to 9,000 files, putting them all together into a QuickTime movie. If it was resizing as well, that would make it longer, and this will take quite a while to get through all this. But that's basically all you need to do. So I shall pause the recording here, and we'll pick up when it is finished. Okay, now it's done. It took quite a while, but like I said, I was doing a picture every 5 seconds. If you were to do a picture every 10 seconds and set this frame rate at 30 frames per second, you'd have half as many files to deal with, and it would take half the amount of time. Obviously, a faster computer would do this quicker. And the same principles apply if you're on a Linux box or some sort of Windows thing. There will be equivalent applications for doing time-lapse and renaming and moving files. Also, I use I kind of cheat a little bit with the I'm a photographer, so I have these photo management programs which make it really easy for me to batch, rename, and move files around. But these are the ones I've shown you are free, and they're not too hard. And also, again, to reiterate, if you're only doing one folder of images, you don't need to do that whole renaming and moving files thing. That takes a little extra time. So that's it. So anyway, I'll show you the time lapse. So that's right here, and I shall open it up in QuickTime Player, and you can see how it works. I'll resize, come on. So off it goes. So unfortunately, yesterday we didn't have a whole lot of chemtrails. This is actually a very nice day. Lots of blue sky and puffy clouds. And I like to just keep my time-lapse thing running as much time as I possibly can, because you need to see what non-spray days how they compare to spray days, and also over time you'll see I've seen how the pattern of spraying has changed. There's the grids we used to get a couple of years ago. We don't see this so much now. They're more the large wispy chem bomby kind of things. But regardless, if we can get cameras pointing at as much of the sky as possible, we're going to build up this huge library of information, a data store which can help us, try and end this crime. So, like I said, this needn't cost you any money. You might already have a camera like this, but I would recommend this little Canon Vixia Mini. It's for me the perfect tool for the job, and the results look good. As you can see, there's some weird non-cloud looking things in the background here. Don't know what those are. And oh, obviously now next thing you would do is just put this up on YouTube and share and subscribe to this channel, and you can see the time lapses I try to put up on most days. So that's it. You let this play out, and oh, pretty sunset. There you go. So that's it. Time lapses. Doesn't have to cost you much. With a little bit of effort. Once you start doing them, they, over time they become easier. It's something it's not terribly difficult. So let's do this. All right. Take care. Bye.